Okay, today's video is going to be a layering recap and working with limitations. So what I mean by that is in the beginning of this class, we limited ourselves with 2 colors and we practiced mixing. I just kind of very quickly grabbed, it's an anthraquinone blue and a light phthalo green. These are relatively new colors to me, and I thought, okay, we got a light and a dark. I'm going to mix these and see what I get. And then I will do on Bristol paper, I'm going to do some brayering, some sponging, some brushing, probably some stenciling, and in a playful manner, and see what I get. Light phthalo green. Anthraquinone blue. And so when mixing light and dark, or like really intense colors like red, a little bit goes a long way. So I'm just going to add a little bit of this to that. I am going to reserve some of my original color here. And I'm going to do a gradation. I'm just going to do 3 mixtures. So a little bit of that. And I like using the angled palette knife. Seems to scoop better than the others. Okay, then I'll take some of that mixture and put it right there. Grab a little bit more of that. Whatever. The letter A blue. So obviously you can see if you were going to do a bigger painting, you'd have to increase the amount of paint. And in the class, we did these color mixtures and gradations. And I suggested making your own, I called it like a color dictionary of these gradations, so you can reference it. So if you were going bigger and you ran out of paint, you'd have your color reference chart. Okay, that's pretty. I like that. So the key to mixing is you got to keep going until you get rid of the streaks. Okay, so there's my gradation. Here's my Bristol paper, and I'm going to start with the brayer. And I think I won't start with the dark color or the light end. I think I'm going to go over here and just get some color on my page. So this would be the equivalent of making a wash, but instead I'm going to use non-traditional tools to put some color down. And sometimes I like to go with a movement, get some movement going on as my possible structure. You can also use it as a mark making tool. So if I just tap it or slam it down, I can get a little bit of pattern going on. So no real plan here except the movement and kind of exploring the marks I can get with the brayer. I'm going to try scraping in with my palette knife. Which is also beyond a paint mixing tool. It's a great painting tool. Okay. Now I'm going to use, I've been using these makeup sponges this week, and I really like them. You get a very soft mark with them. And usually when I'm working, I kind of, oftentimes you'll see my hand kind of moving around, and then the color, my eye just travels around, and then sort of intuitively, it's like, well, that looks like a good place. Put that color. I'm leaving this a little bit more open. Feel like I need an open space. Now I'm using the side of the sponge to get really thin lines. Okay. Right, so we did some stenciling last week. I threw that in there, and then people said, well, what if I don't have stencils? Well, if you don't have stencils, I bought some oranges today and some limes, and I'm going to use these as a stencil. So, and I have no idea what I'm going to get. So I'm going to tape this down, and I'm going to sponge some paint through that. So now I know it's going to happen. After today, you'll be on the lookout for things like this, netting, anything that you can push paint through and make a mark. Okay, and I'm going to go darker so that it hopefully shows up. I have to push down kind of firmly. Okay, now I'm going to see what that looks like. You know, I like that. Okay, that's pretty nifty. Like that a lot. Now I'll try this one here. I'll do two, and I'll pick, I don't know if this is going to show up or not. So right now I'm still in the limitation of these two colors, and you might be thinking, isn't there more? Yes, there will be more, and there will be a different color, but I like to start with the limitations and then build from there. Okay, let's see what that one does. Okay, now I did use a lighter color at the top, so it does a bit of a fade. Okay, I love this. If I wanted to do something that had an ocean feeling to it, this is great. So whether this comes out or not, I'm exploring it and sort of cataloging in my brain for the future that would be useful. Now, I meant to bring out my pencils because I could add some, scribble marks. I don't know what I did with that. So I'm going to go to angled brush. So I'm going to do some brush work now and maybe come back with some brayer work. Okay, but let's think about adding another color. So this new thing that I started, making these color swatches on little strips of canvas paper, I can plop them down and like this is maybe a little bit more subtle. I can plop them down and decide, do I want a more subdued painting? Do I want it a little bit brighter? Like this is quite, I'm forgetting what that color is, nickel azo, I think, and this is Indian yellow. Big difference between those two. I can go through my color swatches and decide what I might like to use next. I think I predetermine it ahead of time. I'm going to go yellow ochre. I probably would pick the Indian yellow instead, but I don't have it handy. Okay. So I bought these little super narrow palette knives that I think are great for laying down thicker, more concise blobs of paint. And then this one has teeth on it. I really like. I can carve through and get these finer marks. Let's say I don't like it. I can scrape through. Okay, I'm going to do a little more brayer work. This is where 2 brayers might be good. I had this soaking in water. It's a little soupy. So I went over that just so you can see. The brayer is great because it puts down a thin layer of paint, transparent. So I've got multiple layers going on there. That's already dry. Okay. That's what I wanted to show you. If you put it down and then scrape really quickly, I can get transparency going on. Okay, the angled brush I like because the top, if I hold the top edge, I can get very thin, sharp lines. The side, wider, more precise lines. I can scratch in do a little sgraffito with the tip of my palette knife. This is impasto, thicker paint. So I'm still really in the mode of playing, although I'm keeping my movement here. So I've got a loose composition, right? Okay, now I'm making a wash of that darker blue. So I'm getting this oceany movement here. So I'm going over with a very thin wash to accentuate that. Okay, painting with the palette knife. So I've narrowed my color palette, and then with the brushes, I'm primarily working with this one. So starting with limitations and then building from there. Okay, I'm going to finish by pulling in some more contrast. I could go kind of wild, like fluorescent, or I could go with this red. I think I'm going to go fluorescent, and unless anybody says, gee, I'd really like you to try this color. So this is contrast. A little bit goes a long way. So I'm just going to put in a few pops. And I'm doing this upside down, so it's a little weird.